want to tell us a bit about who you guys are? Obviously, most people know DJ Mandra and Double O, but let's just have the intro.
Should I start?
Let's have a round of applause for them, firstly. Let's warm it up.
So I am Mantra. Indie is my name. I've been DJing for like over 20 years now. I started when I was 16. I met Double O, David, when I was pretty young, 21 or 20. And we've been together since I was 21. So it's been a long time. Okay. Hello, is that better? Yeah, everyone can hear me? Okay. So yeah, I've been DJing since then. It's always been jungle. It's always been drum and bass. There's loads of other music that I like, but my heart has never fallen out of love with it out of all these years. The years keep rolling on. The passion keeps building, and I think being, with David and building up our own thing has been kind of key to that. Times when I have felt perhaps a bit disheartened and like you're putting in a lot of effort and perhaps not kind of getting back what you feel like you're putting in, we've always had Rapture to fall back on and to realise, like that's our heart, our soul. That's what we want to put everything into. And I'm so pleased we started it when we did. We started it in 2006. We were ravers, big time. We were going out, 3-4 times a week. And it was just this little idea to start it because we loved Renegade Hardware, which was at the end. We loved Technicality and Bassbin, which was at Herbal. And we thought it was genius to put a lineup together with Gremlins, who at the time was repping Hardware, and Equinox, who was obviously playing at Bassbin and Technicality. And we were like, they need to be on the same lineup. And that was it. That's why we started it. Yeah. So, yeah.
So let's go. I definitely want to get to that, but let's go back a little way back before that. How did you even get into DJing? Like, how did it even start for you?
I was going raving far too young. When I was 13, I went to Bagley's Warehouse, garage rave. My brother took me. He was militant. I couldn't leave his side. I could go to the loo. I remember I bumped into someone that I'd met in the park, and they saw me, and he was like, "Do you want a hooch?" I was like, "Yeah, I'd love a hooch." And then my brother saw it, just took it away from me. And then he put us in a cab at like 2 a.m, but that was it. My mind was blown. My life had been changed. I was spending the rest of my life in clubs.
Just went out and bought some decks then, got going?
No, my dad had decks in their loft. They weren't being used, but he had a spare pair of Technics. I was completely spoiled. I never had to DJ on belt drives or anything like that.
Oh, what? You didn't do the hard yards on the belt drive?
Nah.
That's a rite of passage for everyone.
Not me.
Straight in the so your dad had a spare pair of Technics in the loft. So
he's Punjabi, and he was setting up a Punjabi radio station at the time in Southall. So he had all these random bits of gear. Yeah. And I said, "Dad, I want to start DJing. I want to be a DJ." And he was like, "You know Technics?" I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "I've got some." I was like, "Sweet." That was it. Simple as that.
Sweet. And so was he disappointed when it was like Tear Out Jungle started coming out and not Punjabi?
They came.
No Bhangra.
They came to the early nights, my mum and dad, the first few nights, and they loved Equinox. They were like, "He is the," and I was like, "What?" They were like, "Nah, Equinox." My mum was like, "Oh, he's just amazing." I was like, "Yeah, don't get too happy, go home now." But my dad met Amit, obviously, and got on with him, and they're in it-ish, sort of.
And I must say, Indy's dad came with the name Rapture as well.
Oh, really? Yeah. Okay.
So he's been fully behind us.
Tell us more about that then. How did that conversation happen?
Indy's dad's like a master of words, so if you say a word, he'll give you the history behind that word, where it originated from, the meaning. Very philosophical guy. Okay. And we were thinking of a name, we had all these random names, and he said, "What about Rapture, man?" In his hippie style, yeah. And we were like, "Yeah." And then he broke down what Rapture means, and we said, "Yeah, that's the one." Yeah. And he's always been behind what we do, because he's a music guy himself. So yeah, very supportive. And
Indy, you're obviously very London-based, right? But you're from up north.
I'm a Northern originally.
Northerner, yeah. Tell us a bit.
I've been DJing since like 1990, And up north at the time was at a place called Doncaster Warehouse, which is, I don't know if you've seen the viral video of the warehouse in Doncaster. Well, it's actually me DJing in that video alongside M Zone, Easy D, a few of us, can't remember.
Is it one of those videos with just the mad gurners? Just
Yeah,
like,
yeah. Boiler Room actually took it, but it's not Boiler Room's footage, it's M Zone's footage. But anyway, but yeah, since 1990, and Jungle up north back then was a funny time and place because everyone was into techno. And myself, the techno I was into Detroit techno. I was into the techno that they were playing. And when you played jungle, it was only like the jungle, a few junglists that would be in it, but most of the crowd, they want the 4/4, like hard trancey techno, which we're not really into. And for me, at the time, I thought, well, the mecca or the place to go is London, if I'm really into my jungle. So I moved to London because, I wanted to go where the beats are.
So how did you find it moving down to the Big Smoke?
Well, fine, because I've always had family here. I mean, since a kid, I was up and down London. I've got loads of family here. So for me, it was just taking that chance and, transition. Just taking a chance in life, without no risks. You just stay stagnant. So I had to take that risk and move,
Yeah. So, okay, and then you guys, when did you meet? Well, how long ago how long are we going back here now?
So, a weird story. I met Indy through Xbox Live, right? Not right. Okay. So, it was a guy called DJ Future. I don't know if you guys know Future. And he was in the background playing some jungle. And I heard him on the mic, and I was like, oh, you play jungle? And he says, yeah. Then we linked up through that. And then he said, oh, I know a girl around the corner that plays music. And then Indy came, and that's how we met, basically.
And the rest is history.
Big up Future. Yeah.
He's got a lot to answer for.
Yeah.
So, okay. So, then you were actually in the distribution game, weren't you? Isn't that what you were doing?
That's a very glamorous way of putting it.
Yeah. Hustling.
We were pulling and packing records at SRD.
Yeah,
like,
of course.
we were like
Yeah.
I loved it. It was like they were in Tottenham then. We both worked there for a little bit, but it was at SRD distribution. They're still going now. But yeah, we were in the warehouse. So it's literally pulling and packing records all day for record shops. But it was such a buzz for me because it was just being surrounded by music. And I was thinking, maybe I would be able to like meet some of the label owners and stuff. And they'd be there, but I'd be way too frank to talk to anyone. So I'd just, and just run away.
But it was good for blagging guest list at the raves.
No? We were like the little divvy warehouse lot. Don't chat to them. Like it was quite. There was quite a hierarchy, and we were very much at the bottom of that. But you'd get tunes. You'd get like about 4 or 5 promos a week. And that was wicked. Yeah.
And to be honest, I never did any work. All I did, I used to just go into the reinforced section, hunt through, see what was there, and then I remember getting. I don't know if you know a guy called Charlie Chaplin, but he had this famous CD.
I can't believe you're giving away this top
that
producer secret.
Everyone used to rinse it, right? A lot of tunes have used this CD.
Digital breaking.
So one day on my
That's where they get all the breaks from, is that what you're talking about?
No, not break samples, some famous samples.
It's like a Sound Clash CD.
Oh, yeah, okay, right.
And one time when I was working, I found a box with like 10 of these CDs in. I was like, whoa, it's like gold dust. And some of them landed in
It came with perks.
It came in perks.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
It's that bad. I had Bailey like begging me for like, please give me that CD. I'll swap with the CD, But I was like, nah, mate, nah.
So so then we're coming up to time talking about Rapture now. Then, so how did that come? So your dad came up with the name. What made you think, we're going to start a night? Like what?
It was literally just that Gremlins and Equinox thing.
Okay.
It was nothing bigger. There was no master plan. It was just to like, let's do one and see how it goes. Yeah. And the process of running a night, like putting it all on, I just loved it. I didn't even play it the first one. I was way too nervous, and I got absolutely hammered and made a total idiot out of myself. I couldn't talk. I was in such a state. I used to do that quite a lot, actually, drink to the point of like oblivion, because I'd be so nervous.
Yeah.
And you know, the beginning of a night when there's no one there, I just couldn't handle it, and so I'd drink, and it was like, it was bad because it would end up where I couldn't remember anything. A few incidences where he'd be like the next day, Jesus Christ, do you remember this?
Oh,
Nope.
no.
You better call that person up and apologise. And I was like, okay, I have no idea what happened. But it was the nerves, and it's like when something means so much to you, I just couldn't cope with it. So I just drink, and it just ends up in a total state. And I think the first night we did, it was at Dingwalls in Camden on a Sunday. And that's not the best thing to do, because Blue Note was known for being at Dingwalls on a Sunday.
Yeah.
Why are you going to start a night when metalheads with this massive reputation are there, or had been there very recently? And it was all right. I mean, there was a few people there, but it was, it was, the night wasn't great, but I loved the thinking of lineups. I loved the artwork. I loved the kind of, the whole buzz of creating something from nothing was just totally thrilling. That it was like, you know what, this process, we have to do it again. We just need to go smaller. And then we found a much smaller club. It's kind of similar to this sort of vibe, even smaller maybe, called 6 Feet Under. You remember 6 Feet Under, yeah. And it was in Kingsland Roads. There used to be so many random little like divey places with like just no name, and the air conditioner, everyone used to bang the air conditioner. The guy used to get so pissed off.
Shiva was a regular.
Yeah, Shiva used to come. I remember one time someone did a tag in the loo, and the owner, Floyd, was like, you guys can't come back, someone did a tag in the loo. And we were like, we're so sorry, oh my God, what can we do? And he was like, paint the whole toilet. So we were like, okay, sure. We went and got paint.
No, hang on a minute. No, I painted the toilets, yeah?
I swear I got a false memory then of me.
And there was nowhere to be seen. I painted the toilets, yeah?
So weird, because I can literally remember myself painting it.
No.
Told the story so many times.
Exactly.
You painted yourself into the story.
I do that all the time. Watch me.
Was it Shiva who tagged it? Was it Shiva?
Yeah, was it?
Anyway, after my 4 hours of... Yeah.
But yeah, the guy took the piss out of us a lot. But we didn't care. We just wanted to be there. Do you know what I mean? And then we moved to Public Life, which was actually a toilet called Public Life, like a public toilet, which was even smaller, but had a later license. And we did a couple of nights there, and we did our first birthday there. And I remember the queue, you couldn't get in, and it was like really, there was a lot of hype around it. So from then we approached Corsica just before our second birthday.
Yeah. So I'm just trying to get the timeline here. What year did you start doing this?
2006.
Okay.
Yeah.
Was the first Rapture.
And just to go back about that night, he was talking. The guy was so hard to work with. I mean, we had a night planned. I think the last time we worked with him, we had a night planned where we had Storm. First time I ever booked Storm, yeah. And the night, it's been building up. Tickets have been selling, and then we get to the club, and it's closed. It says cancel. It just says closed there on the night, and there's a big queue. Loads of Italian people have come out. And the thing just said closed, yeah. And we were like, what the?
He wasn't picking up his phone.
Yeah. And then, but in respect to him, yeah, when we did see him, he said his father had died and he had to go to Jamaica, right? But he was so when he came back, I couldn't really cuss him because, boy, his father had died. But the way he didn't even let us know, and it was cancelled. So, yeah, anyway.
So, for the budding promoters out there, I mean, your first event that you did, how many people turned up to
80.
it? 80. That's pretty good going.
Yeah, but half of them were in the back smoking weed because they were all our mates from Rude FM. When I was on Rude, I said, please come on the dance floor. There's no one there. And everyone's just red-eyed blazing. Like, this is great. We can just bun it down in here. And I was like, oh, God.
Okay, and I mean, now you're pulling big numbers into Rapture, right? Like,
it depends what size. Corsica is actually a 500 capacity space. A Fold is about 900.
Okay. Yeah, you did the Fold thing during lockdown. That was good. The live stream, right? Yeah, that was good. So running a club, that's obviously gone really well. I mean, you guys established yourselves pretty much as I suppose the big drum and bass night in London. Would you say? I don't think there was any other real competition Like from what I knew, like
Well, I don't really
doing
I'm
it
a
properly,
man where
doing
I
it
don't-
properly.
Yeah,
not,
all right. We just do what we
Yeah.
love, basically. I don't really go walk around and say, yeah, with this and that. That's
No,
not really
of course not. No.
But it's all about the crew as well, man. We've got a
Yeah.
strong crew around us.
Yeah,
And the people that we book and the people that,
yeah,
you know, they're all heartfelt people,
Yeah.
just on a level.
Mm.
And I think it's more than just music. It's like, it's all about how you think and how you treat people, and it's deeper than just the music. And
People are obsessed with Rupture though. Like they travel across the country for your nights, don't they? Like
I think one
Yeah.
thing that like we clocked from really early is that when I was starting out, there were so many instances of being like really humiliated by people, and people being so cold and so rude and just like, I don't know, just doing things that made me feel terrible. And I always thought, you know what, like whatever we do, we have to make sure that it's a fucking open space for people to feel comfortable, because I don't want anyone to feel like that. It can turn people away from making music, or it can give you drive as well, which it did for me, luckily. But I think those experiences really are, I don't know, help kind of embed our kind of ethos and how we want to do things, which is just with like, just be fucking kind and just be safe and just be like normal. And it's like, yes, it's fucking music and there can be a lot of ego around it, but it's a massive ecosystem where everyone relies on everyone else. It's never about one person. I think as soon as something like an organisation becomes about a person, it's very dangerous. That's when the whole kind of like, yeah, the idea and drive behind it can get skewed. And, you know, for us, it's always been about being inclusive. And David, I remember, said on the mic one time, step on a toe and find a friend, which we found so funny. Because we were like, you know, no one's going to get in a fight if you step on a toe with someone at Rapture.
that's not the case in Croydon.
Maybe not. But I think that's kind of always been our vibe. Do you know what I mean? Is that, and I think, you know, it's felt sometimes, we don't always get it right, of course, but as much as possible, that's the kind of attitude that we have.
It's about the collective, basically.
Yeah. And for me, you know, I've got a simple motto is, you know, treat people, you know, when you first meet someone, always give them respect. Always treat people just on a level, right? Because I've had a story where I remember when we was flying, like, you know, 4 a.m. going out to fly, I had a certain DJ, like, throw a flyer in my face and say, do you know who I am, all right? Now, forward in time, he's playing at Rapture, and he's saying, wow, and he's, you know, kissing my ass, basically, yeah? But I could have said to him, oh, I remember when you threw the flyer in my face, but I just kept that in my head. So it's always, in life, I always try and treat people on a level, you know what I mean, when I meet them, because you never know. Tomorrow, they could be a boss, you know, so that's my motto, you know.
Is there some...
I'd say.
Yeah, of course, yeah, absolutely. I mean, even if give an example, even when I approached you to do CDR, like, just messaged you via Instagram, and you came back to me, was like, yeah, I'm up for it. I was like, what?
How long did it take me to get back to you? I'm long.
It probably did take a few weeks. Yeah, probably, yeah. But you come back to me, like, you know, we didn't know each other, you know, and you were totally up for it. Like, and, you know, Harlesden, you're miles away from Croydon, so, you know, not many people would have been up for it. So that you could tell there's always been that kind of, I don't know, openness, which is great. So, okay, so in terms of Rapture, then what point in time then it started to become a record label? What was the moment then you started to think, okay, let's actually start to put some music out?
We just blagged it hardcore. I bought our first release with us.
Can we hear it?
Yeah, of course you can. Do you want to get it, babe? And I'll just tell you how raggo we actually are and how little thought there is behind what we do. We basically just booked the mastering session without having the tunes, because we were like, we've got so many. Yeah, yeah. I was like, we've got loads of tunes, but we couldn't make our mind up. So even the night before, we had no idea what the first release was going to be, but we knew that we had the session booked with curved pusher. Wasn't it? Laurie in Hackney.
Yeah, Lauren, yeah.
Anyway, this is it. So it's really fucking dark. It's like proper. It's Theory, Rebel Alliance.
And Theory, the G that he is, sorry to talk over the music, yeah. When he made this tune, he had a little hi-fi, like a Benetton Amstrad hi-fi as his monitor system, yeah? So, but listen to the tune anyway.
His mix downs are perfect. Leon. That's just relentless. It's just dirty, filthy, no respite.
Can you hear me?
And you meet the guy, he's one of the nicest guys, isn't he? He just, you know.
Yeah. Can you hear me? Hello? Hello?
You're gone.
Oh, what happened there?
That was me.
Hello? 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 Okay, I'm coming out of there now. Okay, fair enough. Yeah, cool. Theory. He actually is responsible for my favourite tune on Rapture, Heartbreaking Paradise.
Yeah.
That's the one for me, yeah. So he's an amazing producer. So, okay, so you blagged your way into a studio to get this mastered and pressed up, basically.
We didn't blag it. Sorry, I just want to see the year. 2012. Rapture London started in 2012. There you go.
Okay, 10 years. 10 years. Nice.
No, we booked the mastering session,
Okay.
and it was an attended one, so we were all going to go down there.
Okay.
So the night before, we just still weren't sure, and I remember that's when we were living in Stockwell, going through the tunes and everything, and you know, there's like, I don't know, part of it is that kind of you just got to throw yourself in at the deep end and do it, but obviously, looking back, I do think we could have done it differently, but at least it kind of just got us started. You know, fear is often what's going to hold us back, and we were terrified of it, and then we're like, you know what, let's just book it, then we can't back out of it. We can't keep procrastinating, making reasons why we're not ready or whatever, because we have no idea. I still feel like I have no idea what I'm doing, and it's like, you know, we felt, and we really didn't have a clue. But once it was booked, it's like, well, we can't go back now. We all have to turn up. So the night, I remember even the night before, we were like, what are we going to do? What's the flip? And like trying to decide what it was going to be. And then we all just bowed down and did it, yeah.
Nice. Yeah, I'm getting a sense of you guys just basically are quite good at throwing caution to the wind a little bit. Just going, you know what we got to lose.
Yeah, you got to go for it, man. Yeah.
So, okay, so you decided you wanted to do this one release. Was it just kind of like, let's just do it and see how it goes? Or did you think, actually, we want to build a record label? Do it?
Yeah, it wasn't like a big master plan, or like, we've never had, to be honest with you, like any real like long-term strategy stuff or like a business plan. It's very much kind of in the moment. But we knew we didn't just want to do one release. David was making too much music at the time. All our mates were making too much music that we knew that it was something that we were going to carry on with in whatever shape or form it took. We weren't quite sure. I don't even think it's that much of a bad thing. I used to be so embarrassed about not having some big bloody strategy and business plan, and it's like, well, you know what? It works for us, and, you know, at least when you're kind of in the moment, things change all the time, and your tastes and whatever, and how you want to release music and the way you want to put it out might change, and you just want to have total freedom and flexibility and not be bound by any of these made up kind of constructs about what running a record label should look like or be like. So I don't think it's all bad.
No,
winging it.
It's just, about following your heart, and if you're really feeling something, just going for it and, you know, trying something, you know.
Yeah, and I suppose 2012, I mean, I'm trying to think now, vinyl was on the wane a little bit then? And
so it took like 3 months to get this back. Now it's like more like a year you have to wait for.
Yeah, so, I mean, you've actually sort of gone through that whole era now. Vinyl's on the wane, it's all digital, now it's coming back. So, yeah, you know, you've done well to be standing today still. And, so in terms of, I mean, I'm just interested to know, because you're obviously all about the collective, very approachable people. And for me, drum and bass has always seemed like a very cliquey kind of closed kind of group of people. Certainly in the late 90s, it felt that way. But Rapture, I get a different impression. I mean, how are you, from like, okay, so I'm just trying to get my question out here. So as a producer and you want to send music out to people, you're just sending an email, you know, to people and you're hoping for the best. I mean, how do people get noticed by you guys? Is it about who you know, or, you know, are people randomly sending you emails with tracks and you listen to them? Like,
yeah, we get tunes sent all the time. It takes us sometimes a very long time to get back, but we listen to it all.
you do listen to it, okay.
We listen to it all. Like, I can't say for sure that we get back to everyone. We try and get back to most people.
Good or bad? You sort of give...
try, but
really?
but I try, but I know that I don't. Like, if it's like, sometimes it's just so off the mark that you're like, you know, this is actually like feels like a spam. It feels like a generic email that you've sent to just so many people that I don't think is going to be a problem. But when you know it's really specific, and, you know, just sometimes it's just a couple of sentences, they kind of, when you know they know about you and they're like, you know, they're kind of interested in the label and they're, you know, trying to progress, and they, whether it's to be signed or just they want to have an extra pair of ears, listen to it. Like, we do try and listen to everything. We get sent all kinds of SoundCloud, Instagram, email.
I mean, if it's in a style that is not even what we're about, obviously they haven't done no research. But if it's in a similar style, I always try and listen. And you know, I don't care who they are, as long if the rhythm's running, I'm in it. You know. Simple as that. Yeah.
Yeah, because you do wonder, as sort of when you're just sending out music, you're thinking, is it people even listening to it? You must be getting hundreds, if not thousands. So it's good to know that you actually do eventually.
It's how Forest Drive West just sent us an email. We were like, Forest Drive, who? We're like, that's random. And then we listened, okay, there's something here. But yeah, we do try and get back to most people.
Did you guys give him his launchpad then? Because he's like a teacher or something, isn't he? It's like a full-time job.
Yeah, I
But
think
now-
his first release was with us. I think so.
Yeah, nice. Okay, so with the label, what are the plans? Have you got plans with the label at all?
We just got a label manager, which is just a game changer. He started 2 months ago, and it's just, my head is so much clearer. It's brilliant because, you know, we love finding music and we love the creative part of putting it out, but all the fiddly little bits I just couldn't do. And, like, you know, we've got children and stuff, and so I just not do it. And then I felt like I'm letting down the artist, I'm not running it properly, I'm not enjoying it. It just wasn't sustainable. So having this label manager, big up Alex, on board has just been a total game changer. And he's not involved in any of the A&R stuff. He's not involved in any of the design or creative stuff. But all the mechanisms and all of that kind of stuff, he just makes it happen. And bless him, he's never put out vinyl before. He works for other labels, but he's just been so good. He's so eager to learn about it all. And it's just like having just someone to help me out who you can just lean on a little bit. And it's given me space to be able to like call up people I've been meaning to. Be like, you know, you said like 2 years ago you're going to work on a track for us. Come on, how about it?
I'm calling in that favour.
Yeah, well, I feel like now we can do the music justice. Do you know what I mean? I'm not avoiding stuff and just not getting back on things. It's like I've got someone there now to help, which means that I can do the bits that I really get a buzz out of.
Yeah. What was the point when you realised, oh, actually, there is something in this record label? Like, actually, was there a moment? Was there a release that maybe hit a chord with people? And
is there something in it?
I'm trying to think which.
Has it not
which
happened?
It was, but
still not happened. Still waiting.
No, not really.
yeah, I'm trying to think if there was a release that kind of flew off faster than others, or not really. Yeah.
So we're talking a lot about jungle, drum and bass, but I guess, I mean, like, you know, if anyone who follows you guys on Instagram, particularly David, you're always posting kind of production stuff. I mean, what else are you just listening to jungle all the time? Do you listen to other music? What inspires you guys?
I bought something for you. You go, you chat, I'll find the record.
Like my brother, my late oldest brother, he was a sound system man, so reggae was played a lot in the house, and I like my 70s, like reggae, you know, like Johnny Clark, Burning Spear, that kind of era. It's conscious reggae music.
We took our son to see Burning Spear, Johnny Clark and Horace Andy. And
At Brixton?
He fell asleep though, because he'd been to Boomtown 2 days before, so it'd been a big weekend. But he was fast asleep.
Yeah,
how old's your son?
Hey, he's 9 now, just turned 9, yeah.
Wicked.
Yeah, reggae, soul, hip-hop, all kind of music.
Yeah.
I mean, anything really that's got a soul and vibe to it. Yeah.
When you're in sort of production mode, like making tunes, do you sort of go tunnel vision and not listen to other things, or do you actually go the other way and listen to lots of different things?
I try to listen to a lot of things. I mean, sometimes there's so much good music. I even go, boy, am I even relevant what I'm doing? You know, it's like there's so much talent out there, and constantly getting inspired by people, and it, you know, makes you question your own production. You're like, raw, what am I doing? Is it hitting the mark?
Yeah.
But yeah, I always listen to other people's stuff, man. Yeah.
So what have you put on the turntable here, Indy?
So I love records. I love records, and I tend to go down little wormholes every now and then with certain people. And my latest one is Don Cherry, Nina Cherry's father. And he's like jazz, but it's spiritual, it's psychedelic, it's kind of acid, it's experimental, and it's proper like heart, soul music. Some of it, to be honest with you, is I can't quite, like, it doesn't quite connect. It's too experimental for me. But this tune I think is really sick. So this is Don Cherry of the artworks. I'll get the artwork once I play the tune. I'll get it
Janga, de boca da you boy baba you wait. Chipa bo te me wa. Kaniwa. Guru bana guru bana guru bana. Na ba de bi da bo da. Ayu.
Definitely experimental, right?
So indie evokes
We
the
can-
spirits too, yeah.
Be in tune with time.
On a Wednesday night.
We can be a slave to time. Or we could be in total aspiration, trying to catch time. There must be a fourth way to flow with time. This is the organic way. This is the way of the organic society to flow with time. Kaniwa. How does it feel to love Jesus? How does it feel to love Buddha? How does it feel to love Allah? All I know is how it feels to love Krishna.
Spiritual, yeah? Just sit at
and
home.
psychedelic,
Yeah.
like proper psychedelic. And I think he kind of converted to being like a Hare Krishna. So I think they're all just sitting around tripping balls in the 60s and just like getting down. And
Yeah.
it's very much improvised and it's out there. But he was also like a really incredible on the trumpet.
Yeah.
And I actually found this sample of his years ago, and I lost my hard drive. And I've been searching. That's what made me kind of initially. I remember I was like, that was a Don Cherry sample, and I've never been able to find it since. I'm still looking for it. It's this most beautiful. I was sampling it. That's
Yeah.
why, you know.
Yeah.
But the quest continues.
Yeah.
But I'm enjoying the quest because I get to find out about all
Yeah.
this kind of really out there music that just moves me. That I like listening to late at night.
Yeah. You mentioned you like records then, so have you got a big record collection then, would you say? In the
Yeah.
thousands?
Yeah.
In fact, the day when we mixed our collection together.
That was our
it
marriage.
That was our marriage, yeah.
That was the true marriage.
Yeah.
Now this is serious. So are your record collections properly together? Like,
Yeah.
not like this is my half, this is your half.
No, I still get a bit of FOMO when I see you taking the tune out. That's my.
Or like, I'll buy a new record and he'll play it that night and it goes off and I'm like, it's kind of mine, but okay.
Have you got decks in the lounge then as well?
One deck, yeah.
One deck, nice. Yeah, because you were live streaming Rapture nights during the lockdown as well, weren't you?
We
That
did
was
one or
pretty
two.
good. Yeah. Yeah.
Very professional, wasn't it?
There was that hilarious moment when you knocked the camera over.
Yeah.
Oh, God, yeah.
Fuck, sorry, David. Sorry, David. I was absolutely in pieces over that. It was hilarious.
That was
Classy. Classy.
That was
yeah.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that was good that you sort of continued to reach out to people during that, because that was definitely a weird time. So,
I've got one tune I want to play.
Yeah,
if possible,
please.
As well. So when I was living up north here, there's a guy. This guy was responsible for starting Warp Records. He doesn't get shouts that he deserves. Yeah, a guy called Winston Hazel. He's still about today. Yeah, and when I hear this tune, it kind of put me on my path to start making music, I would say. And bless my mum, she bought me a little Casio keyboard there with drum pads on it. Yeah, and I used to just be all day just making beats on this thing, yeah. And this is one of the tunes. I'm not saying it's responsible for starting me, but this was about why I used to love this tune. I don't know what side I want to play, but they're both bad anyway, but yeah. All right.
do you want to tell everyone what it is?
So this one's Sweet Exorcist, The Clunk, yeah?
45, 33, 45.
We'll find out.
Too many questions. $45, yeah. I should have looked after it a bit better. Yeah.
It's been played a lot, right?
bass line, man. It's the bass line, just crazy bass line, man.
Yeah, it's hypnotic as well, isn't it? You can get lost in that. Good 10 minutes. So what's the deal with India? Was just sort of mentioning to me you write 00 on all your records.
That's from sound system culture, because my brother, back in the day, all the reggae systems, when you bought a tune, they would scribble out the name. So man couldn't buy that tune. So when I saw my brother doing it, I just followed him, and I said, scratch all the tunes out. Now I regret it now, because some tunes I don't even know what they're called, but yeah, my brother, all the sound system, man, used to scribble out the name. Yeah, so like my tune, nobody can have that tune there, you know what I mean? Like, I just scribble it out, but yeah, I used to do that myself. And now, yeah, that's the story, basically.
So were you involved in dub plate culture around that sound system thing, then cutting plates for that sort of thing, or was your
No, I was too young at the time.
Yeah.
I mean, my brother used to do blues parties, you know, Afro-Caribbean Center parties, blues. All my cousins had sound. I mean, in the area where I lived, it's almost like it was every man had their little sound system, and you know, we clashed with each other. And my cousins had a sound, but we was like the young version of Saxon, I would say. I'm not saying we was like Saxon, but we had a lot of MCs. We're the younger guys, where the older guys would play more dancehall and lovers rock. We were playing like the 1980s kind of reggae, and a lot of us wanted to chat on the mic, where people would say, "Boy, put the music back on. You have too much MC," and they were called Commando. So we were like a clashing sound at the time, and I used to do a little bit of singing for them. But I was young. I was very young. But when my brother was playing, I was, still going to school. Yeah. But I used to see him doing it, basically.
Yeah. Just wondering if anyone's got any questions they want to ask. Feel free. I'll put your hand up here, and I'll give you the mic. Has anyone got anyone? No? Well, if you... Oh, there we go. Here we go. Let's give you the mic. Let's give you the mic.
Hi.
Hi.
You two are obviously vinyl lovers, and just wondering, like, because a lot of DJs these days tend to use CDs. Do you guys kind of like still use vinyls when you DJ out at clubs and that? Like, is that even possible these days?
Yeah, I do. It's only sometimes will I play like a all vinyl set, but on my like tech rider it says Technics to be set up, and if they're not, then they'll let me know that if they can't source them. But I like to take a few
So
with
that's your
me.
preference?
Is it a preference? It still scares the shit out of me playing records sometimes. Do you know that? After like USBs, everything's so like and it's like, oh, fucking hold it. Do you know what I mean? Like, but I like that. I like feeling terrified.
Yeah.
And also, like, I don't know, certain records I have, when I rip them, they just don't cut through in the same way. Like, I don't know if that's to do with my ripping techniques or if it is just vinyl does just sound better and really weighty. But often when I, play my first record, it just seems to really fill up the space in a different way. So normally I'll take a handful of records with me. We just played at Sun and Bass on the week a few days ago, and I took a handful of records with me. Yeah. I always do. You've got to show off, innit?
Yeah.
I can still do it, sort of. But yeah, I do still generally.
Okay, a bit of a mix.
A mix.
And to answer that question as well, me personally, I'm like, if I play old school, I like to play vinyl, but the newer stuff, it's like by any means necessary. It's like, when people get into that debate, vinyl or I don't get into that. If I like the tune, I play it on the USB. I don't really care. If it's an old school set, like I say, I play records.
Would you both like combine vinyl and CDJs?
Yeah. No problem.
Why not? Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Anyone else? Anyone else brave enough? No? Put your hand up if you have something burning away. Definitely. Okay, so music production. We should talk.
Yeah. What's it?
Well, I mean, you both have very different approaches, don't you?
Yeah.
Very different approaches.
We can't make music together. Do you know what? You found a tune that we'd made together, didn't you? We can't even remember making it.
Yeah.
It was that long ago. And we've got to find it. Yeah. Sometimes I'll just jump in there and chat shit on the mic and he'll sample that, or like I'll be like, dig, and then run away. But we don't make music together at all.
Yeah.
That's because you're basically...
We want to stay together. That's why. We have a family.
For the good of your
right?
marriage. We have kids.
We're doing it for the kids.
Yeah, makes sense. So, yeah, I mean, it's a sensitive environment making the music.
I think Indy's very technical.
Careful.
Yeah. And where she'll spend about 4 hours on the hi-hat, yeah, where I'm kind of more ragamuffin, and she'll always say, "Oh, why don't you try that?" Which I always play stuff to Indy, because she'll always refine my rawness sometimes. But
Will there be a collaboration? Nah.
security, throw that man out. Yeah.
He's from Harlesden. Get that man out.
He's a plant. He's a plant.
Yeah.
But no, yeah, maybe one. Yeah, why not? Why
We
not?
actually did say just the other day, this is kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Do you know what? In all honesty, like David's bought his like Ableton and laptop, but David is pretty much 100% hardware. He is constantly buying and selling machines and thinks I don't know. The doorbell will ring and he runs. What was that? Nothing. Another package goes in. Like I know he's but he buys and sells his whatever synths and machines. So he's pretty much 100% hardware. So he'll be like, come and have a go on Tracker and whatever. But like and he has the studio. So when I haven't made music for a couple of months, but I go in phases of it, and I don't even use a MIDI controller. I use like Control K, and that turns your laptop into a keyboard. And I'm headphones plugged straight in. I don't have a sound card. I don't have anything. I just use Logic on that. And then when I'm going to mix it down, I'll take it into the studio. So I'll make music on the dining room table, on the sofa, in bed, wherever. Yeah. Whereas David is in the studio, but then he gets FOMO. Then he's like, well, hang on a minute, I want to be on the dining room table. And I'm like, you've literally got a studio. So he brings his machines on the dining room table. I'm like, this is like there on the dining room table. I'm like, this is so stupid. I can't get a vibe in there. I can't get a vibe.
Then you're like, what are you at the table for? Why are you getting the table? Why do you go to your room? You know what I mean?
So he sees you shocking out the dining table.
Yeah.
He's like, what's going on over there?
Exactly. He's like, you've got a vibe in here. I want to be part of that, you know?
Comes over all his hardware, kills the vibe.
So now
it's not the same.
The dining room table's got all his
I mean,
on it.
to be honest, I chop and change so much, that even tonight, I kind of forgotten how to use Push 2 now, because I use so many different groove boxes that I just had to find some tracks that I had on Ableton here to bring. But I was going to bring a groove box.
The track he's bought is one that's forthcoming on his album, and it's one of the last tunes that he made that is like my favourite tune of forever. I play it all the time, and it's just magic.
But just before we get into that, I think it's important, like, for all of us sort of wannabe producers out there, like, it's so easy to get caught up in the hardware conversation, like, and so there's two different schools of thought going on here, which is great because, the hardware's amazing and it's brilliant, but equally, you told me about how you made a tune on your laptop on the kitchen table, and was it the one that you released? Was it the one that went out?
I make all my music like that now.
Was that one of them, the Fabric release?
Yeah, that would everything has been like that.
Yeah, so I think it's important for people to know you don't need all of the hardware.
I tell you who else is like that. Digital. Digital's got the most amazing studio, and he does use it. But it's also sometimes just having your laptop open, and a little 10 minutes. Oh my God, the kids are just chilling and going on for 10 minutes, and you can get a vibe, or you can make some adjustment that like lifts the tune. It's just having access to it is really cool, like just having it open, and it doesn't have to be, right, I'm going to sit down and make a tune now, and it's going to be like the best tune, and it's going to contribute to the whole culture of drum and bass and really change things, and I'm going to be a fucking pioneer. Do you know what I mean? It's like, nah, drop that, but let's just see if you can do a little ding-a-ling-a-ling, get a little bass line going or something, like get the brakes running a little bit, do one little edit, or just something. That's all I can do with the load that we have at home.
And also, to be honest, I don't get into the argument of what's better, hardware or. I just say to people, whatever makes you comfortable, use that. I mean, where I've gone wrong in the past is getting too much stuff, and becoming a master of none, and knowing a little bit of each equipment. That's held me back. What's made me advance forward is getting rid of stuff and having one or two machines, and learning them inside out. Because back in the day, that's all I had: one sampler, keyboard, and I knew it inside out, and I was more creative. The more I've got more machines and more stuff and more plugins, it holds you back. So my advice to anyone is less is more.
How it feels from the outside watching David is he experiments for days, if not weeks, just experimenting. There's not like sitting down to write a tune. It's ideas, it's vibe, it's like play. Do you know what I mean? And then all of a sudden, in like a week, he'll finish like 4 tunes out of that somehow. That's why I never quite understand how he makes music, if he does even make music. I don't know how it comes out, because suddenly it's like, what? Just boom, there's like 5 tunes that have been made. But because it's been this kind of experimental stage for so long with his different boxes and whatnot, so it's very, like, every day he's tinkering on something. It's like, it's just play, it's getting to know it, the sound, the feel, and all that kind of stuff, how it relates to his other machines. And then the actual kind of making of tunes, and you know, it always surprises me. David will be like, "Oh yeah, I've got 5 tunes. I've got a gig tonight. I just need to quickly arrange them." And I'm like, "What? What do you mean?" And he's like, "Yeah, I've just got to quickly arrange these 5 tunes in like 2 hours." And that to me is, I cannot understand that.
Amazing.
And he'll just and
it's got all the pieces there.
And it's just so quick, you know. Whereas, I do not like
so
that.
during
but that's where the fine detail now is where, that's where you, the fine detail, like, and my thing is, sometimes in the club when you're playing it, people aren't really gonna hear that fine detail. Just don't wanna hear the vibe at the time. But, you know, I'd rather get more fine detail, but I'm a bit ragamuffin that way. I just kind of rush it.
What do you mean by fine detail, though? What is that?
Oh no, just, you know, like an
like
intro,
a transition.
an intro,
A transition.
You put like an
I love a
effect
transition.
or you put some filter on, or you do whatever, and I'm like, just bang, you know what I mean? And it's,
Slam it.
Yeah, because I'm thinking, because I'm rushing as well, and I'm thinking, oh, I'm playing it for tonight and see how it goes, and then maybe, well, sometimes if it does go down well, I will go back to it and then put those fine details in. Sometimes I don't. I get lazy and just leave it as it is.
Yeah.
But
So
people who produce will know what I'm talking about.
So that period of time that Indy was talking about, when you're not actually kind of making the track, you're just experimenting. But are you just recording loads of patches and?
You know, there's a tune by Africa Bambaataa, looking for the perfect beat, and it's almost like I'm looking for the perfect groove machine that will do what I want to do. So I've bought all these different machines, bought and sell, buy and sell, until I find this one thing that's like the holy grail. But that's probably my, this my madness in my head, thinking,
there's something out there.
But really, I'm happy with what I've got at the moment, and I'm just gonna sit down and learn it inside out.
Yeah.
But this has been neglected, because there was a time I was really feeling Ableton, and I kind of learned it, in a short base of time. But I don't use it at the moment. I've been just using back to the boxes.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Do you want to? What have you got loaded up there then?
Well, this is coming out on the album. I made this a while back.
David's got an album coming out called Firm Meditation. It's all approved. It's all in at the manufacturing pressing plant. So God knows how long it will take, but it'll be next year.
After years of sitting down and hearing other people's music and thinking, I'm not worthy. Yeah. And no, because there's so much good music out there, constant, and it's like, as an artist, you always have that self-doubt where you're thinking, boy, and it's like you always want to elevate yourself, and that's the way you get better. If you walk around thinking you're the Don, how are you going to get better? You've got to have that humbleness inside yourself. And for ages, I was just sitting down on the music, and Indy would say, look, come on, that tune's bad, and I value Indy's opinion. So when she said, finally, come on, let's get it sorted. But I was sat on this album for years.
So how did the album come about? I mean, was it like, I'm going to do an album, and then therefore everything from then onwards was all around the album, or did you have a load of tunes already? And
I just thought so many. There was a stage where I just.
He's got hundreds of tunes. I mean, literally finished hundreds of tunes.
Yeah.
And not like Theory. Theory's in the 700s, but.
But you've got hundreds.
No. But yeah. But anyway.
So okay, what's this tune called?
This stretchy.
No, we just changed it. Just yesterday we changed the name.
Did we?
Yeah.
Anyway, stretchy biz.
We just had to send all the info for the centre labels. Isn't this one now called Victory V for your late bro?
Yeah. Sorry, Victory V.
I think it should be Victory V in brackets Stretchy Biz, because it's called Stretchy Biz. You'll see because of the time stretch, and I was like Stretchy Biz, meh. But now we're kind of attached to Stretchy Biz, even though it's a bit of a random name.
Is this gonna play?
Watch out. Watch out. Watch out. Rock them one by one. So we rock them two by two. Rock them one by one. This the music gonna make you free and universal. Rock them one by one. So we rock them two by two. Rock them one by one. This the music gonna make you free and universal. Watch out. Watch out.
Anyway, yeah, that was.
Let's give it up. Let's give it up.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, and to be honest, I don't use many channels, as you can see. It's like 1, 2, 3, 4. It's about 14 channels at that. Okay, I try and keep it simple, but my main focus is on like the drum edits, then all the stuff around that, basically. But when I make music, I always start with the drums first, and there's no wrong or right way. It's whatever works for yourself, basically. So, but me personally, I'll start with the drums, get a vibe with the drums, and then work around the drum pattern. But that's the first and foremost how I work it. But yeah, it's about finding what's right for yourself, what feels right, for you.
So you start off with the drums.
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
and then,
yeah.
I mean, how do you build it out from there? Are you one of these people that just sort of keeps everything in like a 4 or 8 bar loop and then builds things and then
I get like a 8 bar loop and get a groove with that, and then I either put a sample or a pad. Then the bass usually comes last, if anything, because I like to fit whatever chord the pad is. I'll work the bass to the chord of the pad. Yeah. And
Just have interest. What are you using for your bass sounds?
anything. I'm a sucker for the 808 bass, man. I just simple 808 bass.
And you're just running that through Simpler or something, are you? An
I
808
think
sample?
I think it's a plugin called where is it? There's the plugin there. Bass engine, and it's just got some nice 808s in there. Yeah.
So you say you build a track, obviously loop, in loops, I suppose. What's the decision-making process like with, the arrangement? How do you have a method, or is it just kind of feel?
Indy always cusses my arrangements because
As a DJ.
I never have no like some people will say, right, you do 4 bars, then you have a drop. I'm old school in the fact that some of the hardcore back in the day you'd have about 3 or 4 different tunes in one. So I always work by feel. I never go by this should have a break here, this should have a. So I'm just random in that way. And
So it's not rigid at all, basically.
No,
It's not rigid,
no,
no
it's
rigid
just
structure.
by feel, by feel. And even back to start making music, it's part of my kind of life. It's like I never made music to become famous or anything. It's just something I do anyway. It's something I need to do. It's like exercising your soul for your sanity, for your chill out, and if anything comes from that, it's always been a healthy, bonus. But it's never it's just something I do anyway. I love doing, part of my life,
Do you make tunes quickly? I know some people have to do it in a night and then
When
done with
I
it.
was younger, I could knock out tunes quick.
Yeah.
Very quick in a day or whatever. Now, with family, children, work, it's longer. And when I used to smoke weed, which I stopped, boy, I'd be stuck in a loop, constantly, constantly changing loops, but constantly changing, it's like the more red I got, it's like, boy, tunes weren't finishing. It was just, and then sometimes you'd wake up in the morning without me deleting something, and I'd be like, boy, that tune's running. But at the time, I was in self-doubt. Some of the weed it's good, but sometimes it's counterproductive because you get too deep in it. But, if it works for you, it works for you. Like I said, there's no wrong or right way. But for me, I had to stop doing that because I was using it as my tool to get on the vibe. So my natural vibe I had, if I didn't have weed, I don't want to do music. Even play a computer game, I had to have weed. You know what I mean? But that was back in the day. But
Are you constantly creating, like every day, like every week of the year, or do you ever find yourself going through periods where you're like, you know what, it ain't happening, I ain't going to touch it for a while?
No, every day it's like there's so much wicked technology out there at the moment. It's amazing, indie. I'll tell you, what am I like on YouTube every day?
I was going to say, if he's not creating, it's YouTube tutorials. And I just constantly hearing this whiny American voice. What's that? That's your phone in your pocket. Please, no more tutorials.
It's like
that's what he loves.
I'm interested to know, who are the YouTubers that you're checking out then?
There's Loop Pop, but he's boring. But he gets all the
You're selling
equipment
it.
first. Yeah. There's a guy called Bo Beats. He's another one. I'm not really into the music he creates, but he gets a lot of equipment. Now, there's one American guy. Trying to think of his name. Anyway, but he's another one who I watch a lot. I'll think of his name in a minute. But,
Are they all making jungle?
No. It's more about the equipment. So I look at the equipment and see what they're doing, and I think to myself, well, how can I incorporate what they're using in my workflow? and then it's like trying it, you know, selling what I had before. On reverb, you can catch me on reverb, by the way, yeah? Right. And then sell my music, you know, sell my equipment on there, and then I'll get something else, buy and sell, you know, and find, like I said, something that's going to work my, you know, my workflow.
How do you stop yourself going down the dark hole that us music makers go down of self-doubt and paralysis by analysis, that kind of thing?
To be honest, I mean, I'm lucky, you know, to have Indy who, you know, produces and DJs and understands, you know, what I do. So I bounce a lot off Indy. You know, I never do a track without running it through Indy.
I don't think David gets it in the same way that a lot of people do, because he does it every day as part of his life for so long. It's like part of his routine, part of how he eats, lives, breathes is by making music. So I don't think he gets bogged down in the same way by the kind of, you know, imposter syndrome stuff that a lot of us do, that I struggle with a lot. One book that I've read that I really recommend, I haven't read it all, of course I haven't, and I haven't done it.
You read the review?
You're supposed to do it. No, but I read the review and the intro's enough. The intro's great. And it's The Artist's Way by Julie Cameron. And it's wicked, and it's like a tool, what does she call it? What's her tagline? It's like an artist's guide to recovery or something like that. But it's about how everyone has an artist within them, and it's loads of stuff about breaking down these horrible barriers and this self-sabotage mode that we get ourselves in. And even like some of her quotes I have as my desktop saver. I find it really helps. It's just how to get yourself into that state of channeling. She calls it God, which I was a bit like about, but actually God's in energy, whatever you want to call it, which when you're making music, the best tunes I've ever made, which I'm sure will resonate with a lot of people who make music, you've kind of made the tune and you don't even know how. It's like a meditation almost. So you're like, it just happens. Do you know what I mean? It's like it's happening to you rather than you making the tune. And it's kind of, a lot of the stuff that she talks about helps you get into that flow state. She's a writer, so it's not like she's a music maker. It's for any creative person. But I find it really helpful to kind of dip in and out of it. It's like a set course that you're supposed to do, but I ain't got time for that right now anyway. Yeah. But it's enough just to read a lot of the stuff that she says. I find really, really helpful. It's giving yourself permission to be able to create in a way. Do you know what I mean? Rather than feeling like, I don't know, I find it very hard. Even now I find it hard. I've got an EP coming out and I'm like, and I hate myself for it. It's like, fuck's sake, like, why can't I talk to myself like I talk to my mates? Because really that's what we really need to be doing, is talk to ourselves like you talk to your best mate, someone you love, you know? But it's very easy to get into that cycle.
Yeah, I must say, I mean, back to your EP.
Don't.
No, because the EP is bad. But Indie were constantly like, oh, it's rubbish, it's this and that. But the EP
well, it's done now, isn't it?
Yeah,
so I'm like, whatever,
EP.
it's done, it's coming out.
And,
so.
you know, and even in here tonight, right, there's, like, I'm going to call out some names, right? There's Threshold, Rumble. These guys constantly inspire me, you know what I mean? They make tunes where I'm like, raw, you know what I mean? It's like, and it's a healthy competition. It's not like no hate thing. It's like, they big, you know, I big them up and they big me up. You know, a funny story. I'm the out in that Rumble, yeah? So I sent Rumble a tune, but unknowing to me, there was, I did a tune called Straight 98, and the parts was in there, not knowing to me. So the honest guy that Rumble is, he said, oh, by the way, you know you've left the parts for your tune. So I said, all right, you know what? You know, make a tune with it. Now, he's made the tune. He's battered my tune up. The tune's rough, yeah? You know, and Threshold is another man. You know, he constantly will rhythms that wreck dance floors, and, you know, I'm like,
I think having people you trust and who like around you is so important. Because we all feel a bit like a little mouse, you know, and all that kind of stuff. Everyone feels it, and so to have people that can boost you and be like, "Shut up, come on, let's just share it, let's hear it," and you know, to have that kind of support system, whether it's one person or two people, whether you've even met them or not, it doesn't matter. Whether it's someone online or whatever, but to have someone who kind of give you that feedback, and you definitely feed into each other's energy. The more I'm around producer friends and kind of doing collabs and whatever, the more it feeds into my solo productions, for sure.
So it's a case of just learning to let go of it in a way as well. Just so hold on to it in your hard drive. It's no good to anyone.
And just move on. Just
move
let go
on,
and move
yeah.
on. Like, the tune's done.
Yeah.
Next one.
If
You know?
you got friends around who you trust, and you rate their musical, listen to them. You know what I mean? It's like you don't always need that person to give you the approval. Some of your close friends who know you and you can trust them and their opinion. You just gotta do it, man, and
You know, with David's track, is there anything in particular that anyone would like him to go over, like the drums or the bass, or I just feel we haven't totally broken it down. Is there like a part of it that anyone would like to see in more detail? Drums, yeah.
Boy, if I can remember right. So let me see. The drum now, which is I play the Amen pattern.
Have you just got one amen?
Yeah.
In that, yeah.
Run that playing.
Is it this one? Whose amen is that?
Yeah.
Come on.
10 points.
I'll give you a test press of our next release. Whose amen is that? Whose amen is that?
It actually says on the Amen who it is.
Whose amen is that? Come on.
Yeah.
Dillinger. Do you play records?
You've won a pair of socks, yeah? All right?
If you want a record, I'll give it to you, but only if you're going to play it. I've got one.
And some
I've got a TV
double O
here.
Speedos as well. All right. Yeah. No, but yeah, I use MIDI. Where some people use audio, I like to use MIDI because it's like the old school way of doing it. But like I said, there's no right or wrong way. It's whatever suits you as an individual, yeah? But, what, you really want that, yeah? Yeah, just call it £5, see? Yeah. Yeah, so the Amen, yeah, I use MIDI, and it's just about, I like to use MIDI because I feel you can go in more with MIDI.
Do you want to say how you convert it to MIDI, just in case people might not know?
So basically, you get an audio file. This is in case you don't know. You get an audio file. You chop each individual hit of that file. Right? Is it showing on here? Oh, is it showing here? So you chop each individual drum hit.
Zoom in on it, maybe. Just make it bigger.
I don't think you'll see it in here. Yeah, can you see those lines? Yeah. Right?
Go to the top of it.
See, you're talking to a man who's not technical at all.
Can't you just do that?
There you go. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. Yeah, so here is each little hit. And
You hit them so they can hear.
hang on. That's what I'm saying. I use this for so long. I'm kind of
Hit, will it not play?
no, it won't play in there. No. Yeah, go on. That's it. Yeah. Okay. There you go. Wicked. Right. So each one is a hit. So the all little hits chopped up, yeah? And then some are pitched down, some are pitched up, and then it's just about arranging it all together and making the beat. So once it's arranged,
What sort of processing you got on that track as well? Just interested in what sort of...
I'll try and keep the plugins down to really simple. So I try and just use like one EQ, one tiny bit of compression. I don't really like using loads of limiters and compressors. I try and keep it simple and as basic as possible. Because I think, too much sometimes. It just...
There's like a little bit of subtractive EQing that comes with it, and I remember Theory showed us how to do that years ago. But what would then happen is I'd just go crazy with it. And you kind of find all the harsh frequencies within your drum breaks and put it down and then I just butchered the whole break, and there was no
Loses the
character,
vibe.
there was no feeling, it was just horrible, there was just nothingness. So you've got to be really, really careful with it. Like always around the 5K mark, there's a few little shrill sounds generally that can kind of come down a little bit. But especially with jungle, do you know what I mean? It's supposed to be rough and raw and kind of rugged. So you've got to be really careful in terms of EQing to, like, less is definitely more. Just to kind of go easy with it.
And like, that's what I've got on there. So I've got this EQ on there.
And
This
what
is
have
a
you done with
plugin
the EQ? Have you like boosted it in certain
Yeah, so
points?
this plugin takes away like reverb from a break on Veil, and it kind of just tightens up the sound a little bit. Then I've got a clipper, which enables you to push the sound a bit more. And then just Ableton stock EQ. And I've taken a bit of the mud out of the frequencies and a bit of treble of it, and yeah, just keep it simple.
And is it different every time? You don't. It's not. You know. You
No,
haven't, you
different
haven't got
every
this.
time.
You haven't got this set up as like a.
No.
Yeah.
I think me growing up with vinyl, I try and get my digital to sound as warm as possible, like vinyl. It's hard, because with today's technology, yeah, it's amazing, but it's hard sometimes to get that kind of warm analog feel.
So do you?
A lot of the edits and stuff that David does, like once you've got your break in MIDI, you have like full control to like manipulate it in any which way you like. So a lot of the edits he kind of draws in manually. And then I've just clocked.
Can
He's
we
got
see
like he's got another channel where it's pitched down, which David always does, and he always does the stop, the effect where it's like stopping a record.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's some effect he's got on it somehow, but that's definitely
Yeah.
a 00 signature where he's normally got one of them in there. Do you want to loop it and just show like the where you got
Put them under pressure now. When they're not playing.
There is sound. Should be. Have we soloed something? Yeah, I think you soloed a track.
Yeah.
We just hit any of this. Which?
So when you hear those little tiny hits, they're like little chops inside of a chop. So like a master of that is someone like Sully. If you know Sully,
Yeah.
he uses a tracker. Now that was my dream to learn the tracker, which I was going to bring a tracker here tonight, but I didn't bring it. But I finally mastered the track after years of wanting to learn it. It's something for us to. Yeah,
I tell you what, not to take away from people, but when I saw the track, I was suddenly like, oh, it's just that. I was like, it's amazing. Like, a lot of the edits and stuff in Tracker, which you hear from people, that sounds so amazing and like proper science. Basically, Tracker has it all within it. So it's like, it takes the magic away a little bit. You think it's like, wow, they're magicians, how they got it to sound like that? And then David showed me, and I was like, oh,
I mean,
that's like
not taking anything
much
from
easier
Sully.
than I thought it was.
Sully's,
Oh, so
Sully's
Sully's
a don.
not a genius. Is that what
No,
you're
he's
saying?
a don, yeah. But trackers, a lot of all those sounds you hear in the pitch downs, it's like there's different commands you put on the break, and it will do it for you. But obviously, you still got to have, the insight and the thought to do that. But
Are you doing your mix downs as you go along? Like, are you mixing as you go along?
yeah. So the problem, I mix down as I'm making music.
Yeah.
And I'm no masterer, because you get people that say they're a masterer all the time now. Yeah, let me master your track for you. But end of the day, a mastery, that's like a lifetime career. You know, that's someone who's been in the game 40, 50
There's
years.
science
it's an art
involved.
yeah, it's an art on itself. If you're saying you're going to master tunes for someone and your speakers aren't worth more than 3 or 4 grand, you know, and upwards, I don't want to hear about you saying you're going to master my track, yeah? Unless you've got amazing ears. I'm not saying, you know, or the best headphones, because it's an art in itself. And too many people nowadays are saying, oh, I can master your track for you. But this is like a lifelong game that people have been in it. You know, Bob Katz and all these people, man, they've been in it for years and years. You know?
Who's your go-to mastering engineer then?
We go to, what's my man name? Simon. At the Exchange, yeah. I like his style and I like how
Bo. We also use Bo.
187.
yeah. You know, even like someone like Digital, I call his name again. He's got speakers in his yard, you know, they're like 10 grand a pair. You know, this is some next grade shit, you know. The speakers I want next, yeah, is head audio. Head audio. If you know about head audio speakers, yeah, they're like, yeah, the done speakers, but they're expensive, man. Well, one day, it's my dream to get a pair.
At what point do you know when to stop tinkering with a tune?
No, but, the tune.
Yeah.
His deadline is, sorry, I'm talking for you. His deadline is normally he's got a gig. And
Yeah,
so that's it.
Rapture.
He's
That's
got to
good
get
to have
out
a
the
deadline,
door.
yeah, okay,
He's got to
yeah.
bounce
Yeah.
it and get out the door. So
mean-
that's it.
The thing about Rapture, I mean, when you come to a Rapture night, you always see me in indie as one of the ravers and not. Yes, we are the promoters, but I'm raving. You know what I mean? I'm partying. So when I make a tune, I always think of the Rapture dance floor. If it's that type of tune I'm going for, and it's like, you know, I think about the drops and the energy and the crowd, and that's the kind of my inspiration. So when I've got a Rapture night, it gives me a kick. Because I'm going to hear I know other DJs are going to bring some wicked music, so that kind of gives me the spear to make something, and it helps me to finish it. But what was the original question you said?
Do you know when to stop tinkering
Oh,
with
yeah.
a tune? Yeah.
So, yeah, I think you get this kind of heights that you search for that sound that kind of, it's like a soulful feeling. And when you feel that in yourself, you kind of think, yeah, it kind of, you go for this like invisible marker in your mind, like how this tune going to make me feel. And when it hits there, you know, for hours, I'll be going through different pads. I love pads, yeah. I'll be like, for hours and hours, changing pads, changing sounds, and then I get this one pad and I'm like, yeah, that's working. You know, people like, I call some names, Nebula, Wicked at pads, you know, sounds, Equinox, his pads, Rumble, you know, pads, Threshold, the list could go on and on. Theory, you know, Indie, they come with these pads and it's like, that's what carries the groove and sound. And for me, you know, I started off with Detroit techno, and it was always about the pads. So that's important to get that feel and soul in the music.
Talking of the feel and soul then, I heard this story, do you know the producer Nominee? Sometimes known as Outrage as well.
Yeah. I've known him since he was like 14, Nominee.
Oh, cool. Well, yeah, he's hopefully going to come and do a session down here in the next couple of months. And he told the story about how he took his music to Reinforced. And he took one of his tracks to Reinforced. And Mark Mack basically played the track, but he played it really quietly. He didn't just really quietly. And I think the theory is if you can play it really quietly and there's a vibe, then you're onto something. So I mean, for you, is there like a way that you know that? I mean, obviously, because it's easy when you're sitting there in your perfect speakers listening to music. It's, oh, yeah, this is wicked, and you get out there and you're like, oh, actually, it's lacking something. Is there a way you can kind of finesse that?
To be honest, yeah, it was Indy actually taught me that. And because Indy used to go to college, remember? And I used to always play my tunes too loud because I was used to using hardware where you can kind of push things a bit more. And Indy said about, she learnt it from college. Remember when you went to college and you said it's about playing it really quiet. And if you can hear all the sounds quiet, you know the mix is kind of decent. So that's where I learned that from, actually.
Yeah, because it's easy to sound good when it's loud, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, has anyone got any other questions? Yeah. You look so comfortable down there. Sorry.
Stuck in this sofa, it's hard to get up. Yeah. Might sleep here tonight as well. I just wanted to ask, I guess, Dubs, as you're talking about the drums, I was just wondering, when you grab any kind of break, I've always struggled with it sounding just really thin. It's not got the weight behind it when I'm reference tracking it. So just curious to know what you do to kind of like boost that, or what maybe processes you do.
I think it all starts with your source material. So if you're taking a shit sound, you can't expect to make it sound, I'm not saying you're tune, but sound shit, but you've got to get your first sample where you're sampling from, try and get it the best quality you can, because if not, it's a constant fight. You could be there for hours trying to make it sound fat, but your source material has got to be on point.
I was just gonna, is there any kind of break sources then out there?
Yeah,
that you would
Rapture,
recommend?
them guys
Yeah,
Rapture
Facebook
is
group, right?
yeah, amazing. Those guys there, they're so helpful.
Big up the Nino.
Yeah, and there's tons and tons of stuff on there, but you have to search still. But yeah, there's some nice samples in there. But make sure your source material is a decent quality. Yeah.
Anyone else? Got questions? Don't be shy. Here.
Sorry, just awkward one. You briefly mentioned a writer who was like kind of influential in terms of like your frame of mind in terms of producing and stuff, and I missed the name.
Oh, Winston Hazel.
Winston Hazel.
Yeah, and also there was like the Detroit greats like Derek May, John Atkins.
Oh, sorry, I was going way back. Yeah, the book.
It's
actually.
called The
I'm sorry.
Artist's Way.
By
Julie Cameron.
Thank you.
It's
okay.
like 12, 13 quid, but it's, for me anyway, it's been a real game changer. There's what is her name? There's a DJ, Ruby Savage. Thank you so much, Ruby Savage, and she does this book as a course because it's supposed to be a course, like a 12-week course. She does an online kind of version of it, maybe once or twice a year, because it helped her so much. And it kind of really transformed her whole mindset. And she was always on the kind of edges, surrounded by music, working in music for all her life, but never thought being an artist was kind of for her. Julie Cameron calls these people shadow artists, and I think there's lots of them out there, people who immerse themselves in the music industry because they love being around music but never quite consider themselves, whether it's worthy enough or whatever it is, to actually have a go creating themselves. So she does do it as a collective, which I do think, I tried with a couple of mates to do it as a collective, and we lasted 1 fucking week because we're all such flakes and it didn't work at all. But if you can find a group to do it with, I think it'd be good just for motivation. Or like me, I can't do that. I don't have the headspace to do it. So I just have the book. I read a few pages of it every night, and it massively, massively has helped me.
Really appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thanks.
cool.
Anyone else?
David said if Threshold comes, he's going to heckle us. And now look. Now look.
So, no, listen, big ups to you lot. Want to find out one quick question for both of you. How do you ever have problems, like I do, with the relationship between bass and drum, kick drum, and how do you get around it?
I mean, you can do side chaining and all that sort of stuff, but I don't know. I found that I went like I don't know, time's so weird, like post-COVID, I have no idea whether something's a year or 2 years or 3 years, but a bit ago, I was like totally bogged down in technical stuff like that. And it was actually making beats with Tim Reaper and Decibella. We would knock about at Pirate Studios and do tunes together. That was really liberating for me to see, you know, Tim's like, look, we've got 3 hours, we're making a tune. So it's one tune in 3 hours, which for me, I was like, oh my God, what are you talking about? Like, that's enough time to sort out the fucking percussion loop or some shit. You know, he's like, no, we're not fucking about. 3 hours, one tune. And it really helped free me from being too bogged down by technical stuff, which is what I kind of love about the really, that kind of raw jungle sound. But having said that, I also love the more refined, technical, fucking optical matrix. I've got a wicked deep blue tune actually with me to bring that's just like that really forward-thinking, beautiful, crisp, where everything just sounds perfect. I love that stuff as well. But I just actually don't think I can make it. I think maybe I'll just never be able to make it, I'm not sure. But in terms of the kind of like, kick, drum, bass thing, a little bit of compression, a little bit of side chaining can help tweak it. Or just, for me, just simple little EQing stuff. It depends on the bass, it depends on the break, it depends on the sound of the kick. Yeah.
Yeah. For me, the more technical I became and the more I learnt, I can honestly say my mix downs became worse. Because it's like you get bogged down in all this, you know, cut this here, do this, and you stop trusting your ears. And a famous sound engineer, which I saw on YouTube on my regular YouTube hunt, right? He said, you know, when you're making music, he said, don't look at your laptop. Either have it to the side or don't even look at it, right? He said, that's where you're going wrong. Looking at your laptop, because you're looking at all these graphs. He said, you forget, you stop trusting your ears. And for me, like I said, the more technical I became, the worse it was, because I was, instead of trusting my ears, I'm looking at graphs, I'm doing this. So for me, it's all about, you know, does it feel right? Does it sound right? And I don't get too bogged down in the technical aspect. And I'm not the most technical guy either. So yeah.
Do you think referencing is a good thing?
Yes, I do. But then I get jealous when I hear a tune. When I hear a tune that's so bad, I'm like, oh, yeah, this guy, man. So yeah, references is good. Yeah, it is good. Yeah.
Anyone else got a question? There's two at the back here. Right.
I've got plugins that Plugin Alliance. Yeah, they do a lot of plugins that they can reference, or RX. Is it Isotope? Do one, and it will reference automatically by AI to the track you reference. I've used it before, but I try and go by ear, and I'll use this. Huh? Yeah. Also, yeah. I got this wicked. What's it called again? I got this wicked thing where it's actual. What's that? Yeah, Clarity. It's called a Clarity. Yeah. So it's like a little box, and it's got all the graphs, and it's got all the LUFs and all these different sound, and it's got wicked spectrum analyzer, and just by looking at that alone, you can see if your mix is, right or sitting right. So I use that as well, alongside my ears. But yeah, that kind of shows you what frequencies you're lacking. But it's called a Clarity box, yeah? Yeah, it's a wicked little device. And Indy bought me for my birthday, yeah. Forgot about that, yeah.
So, earlier on, you was on about conscious music and people being conscious of the music and things that they say and do. Maybe my knowledge within the genre isn't that much. First and foremost, within the genre, for years I've just been a raver. Get me to the place, let's go. And I do know a few artists within and out, like drum and bass and jungle, and I love it. I'm also like well into things like Rage Against the Machine, bands like that, and bands like Limp Bizkit. Do you feel like, and maybe I don't know, maybe I've not listened to enough, but do you feel like there is a place for that within the genre, being very conscious and outspoken?
Yeah, I mean, it's like the beauty of jungle, and if you're talking about drum and bass and jungle, you can use anything, any genre of music in it. But one thing I do say to people, always be conscious of what you're sampling and what it's saying. Because there's some people, they think it sounds good, but what that sample is actually saying is, derogative or a bag of rubbish. Or I always try and be conscious. Like, I've had a guy send me music before. He was an Eastern European guy, and he sent a tune. He said, "Oh, Double R, I've got a tune that I think you really like, yeah?" I played the tune. Next thing, a sample comes in, and it says, "Big pussy gal, let me spit in your face," yeah? Now, end of the day, in bashment, that can run. I'm not really a bashment man, but that's for bashment. But for me to now play that tune now in a drum and bass, who am I offending? You got to be conscious about, some people think, "Oh, that sounds good," but really that man could be saying, "How about you, man, send me tune and the tune's dissing Batman, yeah? Saying Batman this." But at the end of the day, you got to be conscious about what you're sampling, what it means, not rather than, "Oh, that sounds good." So, yeah, if you want to put a conscious message in, yeah, all day, man.
I think with the, you said like Limp Bizkit and like Rage Against the Machine, there was like Concord Dawn sampled Slayer and did a tune in like, I can't remember what label it was on, but kind of Pendulum kind of merged that kind of live music, stadium rock vibe with drum and bass. Do you know what I mean? I think whatever it is that moves you and feels true to you, if you feel like there's a crossover or there's some kind of space for it to collaborate, then...
What would you think about, so like, I've been metal bands for years, recording metal bands and something like in that side. Like, what would you think about collaborating with that growling sort of sound? Do you think that would fit in at all?
Like personally, for me, I'm not that keen on it. Like generally, I mean, I don't know. Maybe there's stuff out there that I haven't heard that I think is good. And it's funny because like, I'm not into metal that much, but I love punk. I love like old school punk bands and stuff like The Fall. I love The Fall and bands like that. But yeah. So for me personally, I'm not sure if it's something that I'd be so into, but I'm sure there's bands out there that are kind of doing it, and as long as if try it. Do you know what I mean? If it's something that you feel, there isn't, I don't know, with these things about there is no right or wrong, the only thing that you can have guide you is yourself, and sometimes the hardest thing to find is what yourself truly feels. Do you know what I mean? And once you've found that has to be what guides you into making decisions, whether other people like it or not. That has to come secondary. Do you know what I mean? So if like metal is what you think is so fucking sick and you love drum and bass and you feel like there's some way that they could kind of merge together, then fucking do it. Therapy, exactly. Do you know Therapy? The label Therapy, and like Lime Wax and Audio and people like that. It's like pots and pans fucking drilling in your head, and it's fucking mental. Robin Chaos runs it.
That tune Temper didn't have all guitars in it.
Noel Gallagher.
Yeah, Temper by Goldie. That had loads of guitars at the start, and yeah, I mean, whatever makes you feel happy, man. I say go for it and do it.
Sweet, nice one. Well, I think, I think we've grilled you guys enough. It's been amazing. Thank you so much.
I wanted to give one really geeky tip that I don't know if anyone even cares about.
Go for it.
About, I don't know how many people here are into old school and into digging for music, but like a really good tip that I have for looking for old school jungle records in particular is back in the day, generally there's a producer and an engineer who work together. Now you have to be bloody everything. You're the producer, the engineer, the master, the promoter, all that kind of stuff, the DJ, you do it all. But back then it was very much the promoter and the engineer. And so when looking for old school tunes, really look at who the engineer is, because what you'll find is, for example, DJ Fantasy, his engineer was Alex Reese. If you love Dillinger, of course you do. Then DJ Rough Cut, nearly all of his stuff basically sounds exactly like Dillinger because it's engineered by Dillinger. You'd have these kind of amazing partnerships, engineers like Voyager, loads of stuff for rap. So look at who the engineer is, and that's how I've discovered so much brilliant music, is by following engineers rather than producers. And I've got one tune here that I think would be quite a good tune to close on.
Let's do it.
It's by Ragu and Stalker, Cough Cough Dillinger, and it's called Love Comes and Goes. And it's one of my favourite records.
No, hang on.
Our tunes.
Has it got double O written on it?
Yeah, I see it.
Yes! Shit, twice. He's been it twice. But it's
Is he rewriting history again?
It's a beautiful tune, and it's just like classic '94 jungle. If you look at it, written and produced by DJ Ragu and Stalker. It's the only tune they ever did, engineered by Dillinger at Deadly Studios. But yeah, that's just a good tip that I have, is look for the engineers and follow them, because that's often how you find really, really brilliant music.
And also my tip, how we start back to Rapture. Yeah, if you feel sometimes the doors are closed, yeah. Because like we did back in the day, start your own night or start your own thing. Get some good friends around you, or people you know, or you trust, and start something. Start small, start a night, and that's how we got about. The doors were closed, nobody wanted to let us in, and we started our own thing.
And also remember why you're doing it in the first place. It's not for followers. It's not for likes. Like, come on. It's not a popularity contest. Do you know what I mean? It's for heart, and it's what makes you feel like you're alive.
Do it for yourself.
Yeah.
Stay true
For
to
sure.
yourself.
Yeah.
Amazing.
And by the way, this is a wicked venue, by the way, as well. Yeah. This is a track I made when I was 3 years old. Yeah?
I hate it when the A side is actually this side, like that should be the A side, yeah? The artwork side should be the A side, in my opinion. The other side, sorry.
Come on,
Oi,
come
oi.
on.
What is your bumper red? What is your bumper red?
Yeah. Big bad tune, man. All right.
All right, let's hear it. You got one more?
I got one more.
Go
yeah?
on, let's squeeze it in. Let's squeeze it in.
One more. And then
We want to play everyone's tunes.
this one here, yeah. This one here, yeah. Now, a lot of the old school jungle, yeah, was Detroit techno that they sampled, yeah. Now this is a tune that Dillinger used on a famous tune of his, yeah. But I'm gonna play the bit you'll recognize, yeah. Where is it? When I find it, it is.
As I looked across the still waters, a voice spoke to me from the darkness. It said, "This is a threshold to your subconscious, the unfathomed depths."
All right, that's enough of that. All right.
It's gonna turn the session into something different there. So, yeah, just wanted to say big up. Can we have a round of applause for these guys?